Now, the government has launched a crackdown on companies offering unpaid internships, with the warning letters sent to firms which threaten legal action to fight exploitative practices. Now, the Sutton Trust recently reported that a London internship can cost a young person more than £1,000 a month. So, do unpaid internships have any place at all? Well, let's talk to Ade Odusola, Programme Director at the education charity DebateMate, and former unpaid intern Tom Harwood. Good to see you both this morning. Tom, can I start with you?
Sure.
What did you do? Don't name the company, though, in case it lands us into trouble. But what were you doing and for how long?
Sure. It was a couple of months. It involved research and work, but also a lot of educational elements. There were talks and debates, and really it was both learning and working, and a really great route into sort of learning what the world of work is about. And the really important thing that came from it was the next summer I was able to get a paid internship.
Right.
And so these unpaid internships can really act as sort of the bottom rung on the ladder of getting your way into the kind of world of paid work.
Ade, so it's a way of proving yourself and learning at the same time.
Yeah, so I think internships do have a utility in that they do offer an opportunity for people to develop, but there is a limiting effect here if people aren't paid whilst they're doing these internships, right? Because there are just costs of living, and these are real concerns for people, thousands of people like me who look for internships and think, can I afford the cost of transport and appropriate workwear? And so they're almost eliminated from that equation.
So, I mean, would there be a benefit here in saying, well, you know, we'll take on technically an unpaid intern but pay costs? Would that then negate all the issues that arise?
Well, this is the thing. When you say we'll pay costs, and typically companies will say we pay costs, and they might cover travel and that sort of thing. But there are always costs that lie outside of the remit of things that you do in work, right? And because of those things, and because for some individuals financial restrictions are such a big factor, unpaid internships really do just cut out a really large part of our labour market.
So here's the fundamental point. If you're to ban unpaid internships, that doesn't mean that suddenly they'll all become paid. That means there are no internships, and that limits opportunity for people that might, you know, one summer work extra hours to pay their way through their unpaid internship, to the next summer get up to that next level, and eventually get that well-paid job that they want to down the road.
But isn't there an argument to say, because businesses are businesses and they all look at the bottom line, that they will take advantage if there's an opportunity to have someone unpaid? I mean, you were there for 2 months. I've had someone tweeting this morning saying his daughter was doing unpaid internships for 2 years. Now, it becomes, at what point do you say, well, actually, you can do it for, you know, maybe 2 months like you did, but then you've got to start paying?
Yeah, and this is already the law. This is what the government's announced today. It's crackdown on bogus internships that in reality call themselves internships but are in reality basically just cover for a job. And it's right that the government is cracking down on that. But but it would be wrong to go a stage further and to ban them completely, because banning them completely would limit opportunity to many particularly disadvantaged young people.
Ade, I mean, in the sense, I mean, what Tom is saying is you're gonna limit access to business, limit access to opportunities if you get rid of these completely.
Well, I disagree. I don't think that's true. I think if you look at from the perspective of an employer, and they think, I want the best talent to work in my business. I want people from all backgrounds and with all levels of talent to apply and make it into the job. You think, the only way I can get the most efficient and best working workforce is by making it open to people who wouldn't be able to afford an unpaid internship, right? So I think from the perspective of the employer, they're making decisions now in 2018 and saying, actually, I can benefit from paying people for internships because I don't eliminate loads of people who would not apply because they don't think they can afford it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point, Tom, isn't it? I mean, there's got to be an awful lot of people looking at it. So, well, actually, I haven't got the money to pay for my own flat and my own travel and all the rest of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course there are tens of thousands of paid internships that go on right now, not just in London, but right around the country, that are affordable for lots of people. But to ban unpaid internships would be to take away the opportunity for people that perhaps haven't gone to the best universities, don't have the best grades, don't have parents with the right connections to get them some paid internship somewhere. Allowing low barriers for companies to offer opportunity to people that are mutually beneficial, the kind of experience that people get, the kind of value that are added to people that do unpaid internships is almost immeasurable.
But you've got to have the I suppose what Ade was sort of pointing out is you've got to have the finances to get yourself into that position anyway, whether you're disadvantaged, particularly from a disadvantaged background, you may just not be able to look at that and say, well, I can afford to do that for a couple of months.
Oh, totally. Over a summer, I mean, I've got friends, for example, who've done weekend jobs to fund themselves through an unpaid internship over the summer. Now, that might sound like a lot of work, but of course, the alternative is that there's none of these opportunities at all. And I think that's the most important point. There need to be more opportunities, not fewer. And to ban them completely would be a really retrograde step.
So it's a case of saying, Ade, then, that you don't want to throw just calling an old phrase, shows how old I am, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. There's got to be some sort of balance.
Well, I think the balance only comes from us making a good decision about how we want to operate our labour market. I think we have to decide if we want a system whereby we have people in businesses who are actually adding value, right? And they are contributing and being productive, right? And making a decision whereby we say we do want to pay these people. And I think the decisions that employees make and firms make on this will not change all of a sudden if we banned unpaid internships, right? They do still need the people, the roles that are done by interns being done.
In effect, cheap labour.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think these employees do still need these roles being done, and therefore they will still employ paid interns even if you were to ban unpaid internships.
I think that's just economic nonsense, quite frankly. I mean, there's a certain amount of money that a company has, and they need to allocate that to employees and to investment. And if they suddenly have to pay a lot more, pay all of their interns, they're going to have fewer interns, and that means less opportunity.
Well, look, we're out of time, but I have to say, I don't know what you think at home. I think you both make actually pretty compelling arguments. I have no idea which way. If I had to vote on which one of these two I'd go with, I don't know at this stage. Interesting discussion, though. Gents, thank you both very much indeed. Your thoughts are welcome, particularly if you're in that situation where you're trying to get into the job market in this way. At Sky Stephen, at Sky Gillian, for all your thoughts this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.